6 in 10 Americans live with a chronic disease: heart disease, type 2 diabetes, depression, fatty liver disease. What changed in the last 50 years? Not our genes. What's on our plates? Today, nearly 6 out of 10 American adults live with at least one chronic disease: heart disease, type 2 diabetes, obesity, fatty liver disease, depression. These conditions have become so common that many people assume they're simply a normal part of aging. But what if they aren't? What if much of what we call normal aging is actually the result of something else? Something we eat every day. Over the last few decades, our food environment has changed dramatically. Not our genes, not human biology, our food. Researchers estimate that roughly 60% of the average American diet now comes from ultra-processed foods. For children and teenagers, the number may be even higher, around 67%. Think about that for a moment. More than half of the calories many people consume each day come from products that barely resemble the foods they were originally made from. So what exactly are ultra-processed foods? They are not simply foods that have been cooked or packaged. Ultra-processed foods are industrial formulations made from refined ingredients, industrial oils, additives, flavorings, sweeteners, preservatives, and substances rarely found in a normal home kitchen. Think about soda, packaged snack cakes, sugary breakfast cereals, chips, candy, fast food, frozen meals, and countless products marketed as convenient and healthy. Many are designed to be inexpensive, portable, shelf-stable, and incredibly difficult to stop eating. And that's where the story becomes interesting. Walk through a supermarket today, and you'll see thousands of brightly colored packages competing for your attention. Natural, whole grain, low fat, heart healthy, made with real fruit, protein-packed. These labels create what researchers sometimes call a health halo. A product appears healthy because of the marketing, even when the nutrition tells a different story. Imagine a fresh apple. One ingredient: apple. Now compare that with a packaged fruit snack. Suddenly, the ingredient list stretches across the side of the package. Concentrates, flavorings, colorings, material starches, preservatives, sweeteners. Both may contain fruit, but they're clearly not the same thing. Now ask yourself, how many items in your pantry have more than 5 ingredients? If the number is higher than you thought, this video is about you. And if you're wondering whether this matters, consider this. Many researchers believe diet quality is one of the most important drivers of long-term health. Not because one cookie is dangerous, not because one fast food meal will ruin your life, but because habits repeated thousands of times over decades eventually add up. Poor diet is now linked to approximately 11 million deaths per year globally, making it a larger contributor to early death than smoking. And that raises an important question. If these foods are associated with so many health concerns, why are they everywhere? The answer isn't just convenience. It's a system, deliberately engineered. Here's a number that should stop you in your tracks. The food industry funds nutrition science at 12 times the level of independent researchers and the National Institutes of Health combined. Let me say that again. For every independent study on nutrition, the food industry funds 12. And it goes deeper. Roughly 40% of the funding for major health organizations, including the American Heart Association and the American Diabetes Association, comes from the food and beverage industry. The same organizations we look to for health guidance are partially funded by the companies selling the products that may be making us sick. Convenience, shelf life, profit. These 3 words explain almost everything. A carrot is healthy, but a highly processed snack can often be stored longer. shipped farther, and sold at a higher profit margin. Think about it. How much profit can you make from a raw carrot? Now turn that carrot into a fried carrot chip, put it in a brightly colored bag with a natural label, and suddenly the profit multiplies by 10. The global cost of chronic disease over the next 35 years is estimated at $95 trillion. Trillion with a T. This is not just a health crisis. It is the largest economic challenge of our lifetime. This doesn't mean every food company is trying to harm people, but it does mean economic incentives often reward products that are highly profitable, highly palatable, and highly repeatable. And that's where biology enters the picture. Because ultra-processed foods don't just look different from whole foods, they may affect the body differently as well. Let's start with inflammation. One of the biggest concerns among many health researchers is chronic, low-grade inflammation. Unlike the inflammation you experience after an injury, chronic inflammation can remain active for years without obvious symptoms. Research has linked chronic inflammation with cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorders, and many age-related conditions. Some studies have found that diets higher in ultra-processed foods are associated with higher levels of inflammatory markers. Again, association does not automatically prove cause, but the pattern is difficult to ignore. Next comes the gut microbiome. Inside your digestive tract live trillions of microorganisms. Scientists increasingly view the gut microbiome as one of the most important ecosystems in the human body. These microbes help influence digestion, metabolism, immune function, and even aspects of brain health. Whole foods often provide fiber that feeds beneficial bacteria. Ultra-processed foods frequently provide far less. Over time, this may reduce microbial diversity. And many researchers believe diversity is one of the keys to a healthy microbiome. Now let's talk about blood sugar. Here's what most people don't realize. Below the neck, your body cannot tell the difference between a bowl of sugar and a bowl of breakfast cereal. They both become glucose within minutes. The packaging tells one story. Your bloodstream tells another. Your body handles an apple very differently than it handles a sugary beverage. Many ultra-processed foods are rapidly digested, leading to quick increases in blood sugar and insulin. When this happens repeatedly over many years, it may contribute to insulin resistance. And insulin resistance sits at the center of many modern chronic diseases: type 2 diabetes, fatty liver disease, metabolic syndrome, and cardiovascular disease. But perhaps one of the most surprising areas of research involves mental health. For decades, nutrition and mental health were often treated as separate subjects. Today, scientists are increasingly exploring the connection between the brain and diet. The relationship is complex. Mental health is influenced by many factors, but growing evidence suggests nutrition may play a larger role than previously believed. Some studies have found associations between higher consumption of ultra-processed foods and increased symptoms of depression and anxiety. Researchers continue investigating exactly why. Could inflammation play a role? Could blood sugar instability contribute? Could changes in the microbiome influence brain function? The answers are still being studied, but the questions themselves are fascinating. And then there's perhaps the most controversial topic of all: food addiction. Why is it so difficult to stop eating certain foods once you start? Why can one cookie become 6? Why does one handful of chips become half the bag? Many researchers believe some ultra-processed foods are engineered to maximize palatability. The perfect combination of sugar, fat, salt, texture, crunch, aroma, and flavor. The result is a product that encourages continued consumption. Recent research suggests about 14% of the global population and 14% of children may show signs of addiction to ultra-processed foods. That is roughly the same rate as alcohol addiction. This doesn't mean food affects everyone the same way, but it helps explain why so many people struggle despite having good intentions. Let me ask you a question. How many products in your kitchen contain ingredient lists so long that you need to read them twice? If the answer is more than you expected, you're not alone. Most people don't realize how much ultra-processed food has quietly entered their daily routine. Breakfast, snacks, lunch, dessert, drinks. It adds up quickly. The good news is that awareness creates opportunity. But here's the part that should give you hope. Your genes may load the gun, but your environment pulls the trigger. And you have more control over that environment than you think. Your genes may influence your risk, but they do not determine your destiny.
Let's look at the file.
Small
for our
changes
senior
can
patient.
create meaningful improvements over time.
It's important to keep
Let me
track
tell
of
you about
everything.
one real patient. 66 years old, BMI of 46, type 2 diabetes requiring daily insulin, congestive heart failure, high blood pressure, fatty liver disease. This man was on multiple medications, and his doctors had told him this was simply what aging looked like. He switched to a whole food diet. After 3 days, he no longer needed insulin. After 3 months, he was off every single medication. After 1 year, he had lost 53 kilograms, over 115 pounds. This is not a miracle. This is biology. When you stop giving your body the wrong inputs and start giving it the right ones, it often knows exactly what to do. Start with real food. Foods that look like they came from nature. Vegetables, fruit, beans, nuts, seeds, fish, eggs. Whole foods with recognizable ingredients. Next, increase variety. Many experts encourage people to consume a wide range of plant foods every week. Aim for 30 different types of plants. Different plants provide different fibers and nutrients that support the microbiome. Consider adding fermented foods, such as plain yogurt, kefir, kimchi, or sauerkraut. These foods may help support a healthier gut environment. Reduce added sugars whenever possible. And pay attention to ingredient lists. A simple rule many people find useful is this. If the ingredient list looks more like a chemistry experiment than food, think twice. Another helpful strategy is shopping around the outer edges of the supermarket. That's where you'll often find produce, dairy, seafood, eggs, and other less processed foods. The center aisles tend to contain more packaged products, not always, but often. And remember, progress matters more than perfection. You don't need to throw away everything in your pantry. You don't need to become obsessed with every label. You simply need to move in a healthier direction, one meal at a time, one shopping trip at a time, one habit at a time. Imagine two people with similar genetics. One gets most of their calories from ultra-processed foods. The other builds most meals around whole foods. The difference after 1 day might be invisible. After 1 week, still small. After 1 month, perhaps noticeable. But after 10 years, the gap may become enormous. That's the power of small choices repeated consistently. Your body is not broken. It's responding to its environment. When you consistently provide better inputs, your body often responds in remarkable ways. No miracle supplement, no secret detox, no magic pill. Just biology. So what should we take away from all of this? Ultra-processed foods have become a major part of modern diets. A growing body of research suggests they may contribute to many of today's most common chronic diseases. The food industry has built a system that prioritizes profit over health, funding the very science and health organizations we trust. But awareness creates opportunity. Every meal is a chance to move in a healthier direction. Not perfection, progress. Now we'd love to hear from you. What's one ultra-processed food you could reduce this week? Leave your answer in the comments below. And if this video changed how you think about what's in your kitchen, subscribe to Lean Life for more science-based health content every week. Lean Life does not provide medical advice. The content in this video is for informational and educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical diagnosis, advice, or treatment. Always consult your physician or a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet or lifestyle.